Hello, this is Gene. There's another video I'm doing today. I did another one about the Luke Shaw situation at Manchester United, and one of the biggest YouTubers that have a platform that talk about Manchester United stuff, Mark Goldbridge. I'll link that below, and it's already up on my channel. Please watch that and share it, and just tell me what you think in that video. So this is my second video of today. This is rare for me. I just feel like that I need to get this out. Yesterday in Mississippi was a place that I actually stayed for almost 3 years, and that's also where I met my wife. Now, my wife was not from Mississippi. She was a service woman that was stationed in the same base, and we meet each other. We met each other there, and anyway. But we always like Mississippi. We like the traditional. How they look at people that way, I guess, and it was more conservative in nature. And there are a lot of people on the left always thinks that people in the South are just not very smart, and that they need the government to decide what they're going to do with their bodies or whatever. But anyway, yesterday the governor signed a bill, and I will show you the headline from AP. Right. And I'll read it as well as I can. You guys know I can't really read very well. I don't even know if you can see that. But anyway, it says, breaking: Mississippi governor signs nation's most restrictive abortion law, which bans most abortions after 15 weeks. On this channel, I've talked about this many times. I talk about the lack of responsibility when it comes to females in this country. And I said that there needs to be a compromise when it comes to abortion. For my entire life, once I was aware of the situation, I always been pro-choice. And I said women should have control of their bodies. And I was just going down that rabbit hole to say that they need to have control. But that as I got older and I became more mature in this area, I said I think that the unwed baby has rights as well. Personally, I would say that abortion should not be legal. However, as a compromise, I said in those videos that I think after the first trimester, which would be 12 weeks, like we can move that on to like 13 weeks, that there should be no reason to have an abortion. You have three months to decide whether or not to have that baby. And if a woman doesn't understand what's going on in her body, she doesn't know that she's not having a period for 2 months, there's those rare times that you still spot. Now, clearly, I'm not a woman. And, of course, you'll see this vitriol online that says that men don't understand this. And they always come back and say if women or if men had to carry babies, that they wouldn't be able to do it because we're not strong enough to deal with it. I think men would know that they would take a pill when they have sex so they don't have to worry about having a baby. They would there would be a reason why they would do it. They would be more... they wouldn't want the way that the world is in the United States, where men are the ones who actually have to be the breadwinners most of the time in a house, and if they're out of the house getting pregnant, I don't know, I'm going down this road, but guys would have made sure there was some precautions so they don't have kids. In all things, and I talk about this in all things when it comes to sex and the outgrowth of having sex, where you have normal heterosexual intercourse that both people, or at least the man, orgasms and fertilize the egg. In the law and everything else in the society, nobody blames the women in all this. It's like, it's not your fault. He got you pregnant. So I've talked about this in my channel before, the lack of responsibility in this country that we have about women. And what we saw right here is the governor said, I'm signing this at 15 weeks. Personally, I think that's too late. I think it should be 12. Personally, it should be gone. But anyway, that's fine. That's a good starting point. And of course, these people online, these liberals out there, they believe that somehow that this is so restrictive. And it's actually in the headline, the most restrictive abortion. Now remember, that's in this country, right? Because in Europe, which is more progressive than us, they're more socialist than we are, that's similar. In fact, some of them, they can't have abortion after 12 weeks. But they look at us and say everything here is draconian when it comes to women's rights. So I was looking through the comments, and I'm not going to say it's 50-50, but it's more like 60-40. All these people get on there saying that we shouldn't be regulate women's rights, and if men had to carry babies, this wouldn't happen. And it's all this white man that it's changing this. So of course, it was funny how I don't know if I have the picture here, but if you guys can look online and see where they signed it and had everybody in the room, and it was a diverse crowd behind them, and almost all of them were women. Now, it was a white man that was signing the bill into law. And of course, they started talking about it's unconstitutional. Well, it might go to the Supreme Court. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a judge. I'm not sure that Roe v. Wade says anything that the states can't massage. Women still have a right for an abortion. And that's not really what Roe v. Wade actually does. But anyway, just say that they have that right. Personally, I don't think they should have it. But it's the law of the land. We just deal with that the way it is. The other part is that the states have an ability to actually either restrict it or whatever, make it easier, whatever, to do it. And I think there's no issue. I have no issue with Mississippi doing this. Of course, they're talking about we only have one clinic in all of Mississippi to do this, and so they're all talking about one thing. They're talking about a Planned Parenthood clinic. There are places that you can go to, any hospital. There are OBGYN doctors that will do an abortion in a hospital. Now, they may cost you more money, but what I've said this so many times when it comes to men's rights and the issues that we're dealing with in the men's manosphere, when guys are killing themselves so much more than women, and they're like, well, now we need to change men so they won't do this, so that they can go on and talk to people and they can emote, and they won't do stuff like that. My point has been in everything. We try to get it early on to tell people or to value boys, to let them be boys. The same thing with girls. We need to tell them that it's very important not to put yourself in a position where you might get pregnant, to understand what your body is going through. If you have unprotected sex and after 2 or 3 weeks something feels different and you start having a period and it's not there, all that needs to be taught to them, and it is taught, but obviously we live in a society right now where both sides can't really have a compromise when it comes to this. Because what the left people say is that everybody's going to have babies now, and conservatives don't want to take care of the baby. My point is simply this. It's your fault for having the baby, no matter what. I don't care if you allowed a man to come inside of you because he didn't have the proper protection, or you're not smart enough to have the pill or anything like that. That's on you. And then you can make the decision. But you shouldn't be allowed to wait 4 fucking months before you decide you can have an abortion. You need to grow up. You're going to make a baby and have to deal with that, or if you don't want to have the baby, and right now you have that right to do it and say, I don't want to do it. If 15 weeks is not enough time for you to make a decision, then what the fuck are you? I mean, come on. There are a small amount of cases that women will still look like they're having their period and all this stuff, and they may not be gaining any weight, or they're mentally issues where they're in denial. There's only reason why that we're here with this. We need to not train them, but at least tell them early on this is an effect of having sex. And everybody on the left says we can't talk about abstinence because that's bad. We don't want kids not to. No, when people are actually talking about this is a symptom of having sex, unprotected sex, and kids need to understand this. But the problem is that the media and everything else somewhat glorifies single mothers, glorifies the fact you're 16 years old you can have a baby, and I don't want that either. I don't want 16-year-old girls to have babies and have no fathers in the house. I don't want me as the father of this daughter having to raise these kids. So again, they have the right to do this. A lot of times girls do this because they want to be loved by somebody. They think that by having a baby, the baby will unconditionally love them. But what really happens after about 6 weeks, it's like When you get something at Christmas, you might like it for a little long and you just throw it away. And a lot of girls do this and they just drop the shit off with their parents, and the parents have to take care of those babies. And you have this back and forth between them. And eventually this girl grows up, becomes more mature and says, no, that's my baby. And it becomes the vitriol between the family members. There's so much here that can be flushed out. But the idea that so many people online are talking about this, and they don't look at the science of abortion. They don't see that the baby or fetus feels pain early on, clearly before 15 weeks. The heart is already beating. There's already shit going on. The skeleton is being formed. The brain is being formed, and they think that somehow it's okay. And you get to the very, very far left, it's like they don't really care. There was a doctor out the other day talking about, yeah, when I'm doing stuff, I hear them scream when I'm killing them. When I'm taking them out as abortion, I can hear them scream. And they said the fetus was screaming, and it's like they distance themselves from what a fetus is and an unborn baby is. But there's 2 or 3 or 4 issues when it comes to females that they have to protect. And when it really comes down to it, there are some people that are conservative that says no way, no abortion, no forever for anything, whether it's rape or incest or whatever. And there's a sect on the left side that says I should have abortion on demand. I should have it basically right after they come out. If I don't like it, kill it. And those people need to probably be pushed off to the side. Although I'm against abortion, I'm here to compromise, and I think that 15 weeks is fine. If I said 12 weeks and it was 21, I think it is in some states, then I can take the compromise. And I think that's enough time for women to stand up and say, I'm going to make responsibility. I'm going to either have the baby or I'm going to terminate it. I think that's enough, women. And I'm tired of the people that sit there and say, this is against women's rights. What about the unborn baby's rights? Just take a step back. You could have been aborted if your mom wanted to do it. It's just the narcissism of it all, that you're more important than anything else in the world because I have this ability to carry a pregnancy, and I can do it. I'm like God. Then I can do whatever I can with this. I can keep it for 14 months or 4 months, and then I don't want it, and then I can terminate it. The narcissism to do this, and then the power that you get from doing it. And yes, there are women that have suffered, been raped and stuff like that, and I don't think this bill has no restriction for that. It's not going to say if this happens to you, you're not going to be able to do it. But we need to be honest in this country. Most of the abortions in this country is because women do not take the precautions so they don't get pregnant. And when I talk about responsibility, when it comes to females and the fact that they've been taught this way, that they can pretty much do nothing wrong, that everybody is going to still be there to empower them because clearly they've been oppressed all their damn life, so they have to be helped out all the time. Because still, they're like, well, if you have the baby, the conservatives don't want you to get money for it. Well, why should anybody pay for your mistake? I mean, of course, once the baby's taken care of or coming out, that he should, or him or she should have health care. I'm okay with that. But the state should not be giving you money because you have babies, being the adult. You should be going to work. You should have your family to take care of the baby. The father should be around to take care of the baby, or he should be at work and taking care of the baby. Maybe at the first time, we can help you out, but it shouldn't be something you would do for your entire life and you continually spit out more and more babies because you're just doing them to get money off the dole. We shouldn't be able to do that. It's all indicative of the society, and it's just gone down the tubes. And everything I talk about is related to this on this channel when it comes to cultural Marxism. It's all about this. There was a time in this country that we would shame women to do this, and they would go off on their own, and they'd have to go to these places, but they would still have the baby, and a lot of times they would put it up for adoptions, or they would come back in, and the parents would still act like, oh, we just had the baby, or your brothers and your sisters. And we should have progressed from that, and we did, but we went so far to one side that says, you know what? The most important thing in this country is single mothers. And it's so important that they're empowered. And I wonder, how do you become a single mother? You just can't get a baby. Well, shit. They're on TV all the time, and they have their own shows, and I should just get a baby when I'm 16 years old, and I'll be famous for it. And then, of course, when they find out that they're not famous, because 99.9% of them don't get this, and then they raise kids that are not ready to do what they need to do. My plumber is here, and I'm going to let you go anyway, but that's what I had to talk about. And let me know what you know about, in the comments below, and we'll talk to you later.